Hi everybody, it's Lyn from Lyn's Crafts, and I got a pretty good sized project today. And oh my gosh, am I having a hard time videoing this. I had it all down and had it all loaded up into Movie Maker, and it would not save it to my computer. No idea why. So I'm going to try it again. This is my first official project for 2014. And this is an inspiration piece that's going to go on my wall. That is so far my wall of inspiration. There's only 4 pieces on it right now, but and if you go back in my videos, there's a video on each one of these. This one is Imagine. And this one actually is called Flight of Discovery. This one is called The Oracle. And that one is The Lost Tranquility. Sorry for my chipped door over there. And then this one that's kind of hiding is called Follow Your Dreams. On my other wall that's straight across from me is where I'll start hanging more after this wall is full. So that spot right up there is where this one will go. Alright, back to it. Back out and let the camera refocus. And okay, here it is, and I've actually done a little video showing how I built the box, because that's really all it is a box that I left one side off, so because it's going to hang so high up on my wall, so light could get in, so you'd still be able to see the stuff inside. So it's basically a box with a house-shaped front stuck to it. Super, super simple, really and truly. So what I did first was I painted the front with gesso, and I used a stiff brush and kind of, pounced it on. Did a stippling kind of effect. Then I painted the whole thing with a burnt umber apple barrel paint, and then I started spraying with my Lindy's. And this is cocoa bean copper with some Buccaneer bronze, quite a bit of the Screaming Banshee black, and I love that color. I love the blue and purple tint it gives, like aged metal has sometimes. Sorry about that. And then it's got some of the Paradise Island Aqua, I believe is what it's called, sprayed on it also. And that was to tie in with the awning up here, which has been painted black. It's also just chipboard. And this is, the whole thing's made out of a chocolate box. A box of chocolates from Christmas. This has 2 metallic colors. It's the Christmas Green by Folk Art and the Metallic Peridot. The roof part up here, the roof shape of the frame, we'll call it, I just cut some strips of the same chipboard and laid them up there like wood siding. I overlapped the bottom edge of one to the top edge of the one below it, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to start at the top just for the sake of I'm already up here. This is a wood tile piece that my hubby cut a lot of wood tiles for art tiles, and this was one that was just a little big for an art tile, so I used it for the marquee at the top of the shop. This whole piece is in honor of however you want to say that, me opening my Etsy store. So the theme of the year is Believe in the Journey. It's not the goal, it's not the selling stuff, it's the believe in the journey. It's the journey. And I had to explain that to my husband, because he You know, he wants those instant results. He wants to be, want me to be, he wants me to be famous overnight, so to speak. And I warned him ahead of time that's not going to happen. It just doesn't work that way. So it's the journey that's important, not the where you get at the end. So what I did was I painted this. I put the glue gun, hot glue gun dots on first, and then I painted the tile black, and then I laid on some of these Prima alphabet stickers, and these are the ones for the romance novel, and I got these from Neary, and I just used a few of the pink ones, and I put the lens crafts on there, and it was quite a trick getting them to work out around there, but I finally did it after moving them around 100 times. So after I got those good and stuck down, I flipped it over onto my Versamark pad and got it really good and juicy, and then embossed it with some silver embossing powder. And at the moment, I'm not even sure which one that was. I really am not sure. So then when I pulled the letters back off, as you can see, they showed up black. And this little dot right here is because after I finished the whole thing, I spritzed it with a little bit of the Buccaneer bronze. So there's where some of the little different coloring is from. A little clay cabochon rose that, again, it was black, and I flipped it over on my Versamark pad, and that is the Lindy's Stamp Gang, the Queen Sheba's silver, and I absolutely love that goldy, silvery look, like a super vintage silver. It's pretty, pretty, pretty. Just one of my art tiles, and this is a, you know, water release decal, aka a dollar store kids tattoo, on some Walmart dollar bin ink back in the kids section. It's just one of those little ink pads that doesn't even say what kind of ink it is. Another just a clay piece that I painted black and then rubbed it with some silver folk art paint. And in the center right there is some embossing powder. And I'm not too sure what colors are in there. I think it's the Lindy Stamp Gang obsidian bronze with a little bit of Ranger gold sprinkled on top. Okay, the whole frame, like I said, was painted with the burnt umber. I've done a continuation of the sprays up here on the wood part. There's a good shot of some of that Paradise Island aqua, just to give it a little tie-in to the awning. Alright, now I'm going to start by going around the frame first. Another little art tile that I did exactly the same technique, except I painted the tile white first. Stuck the letters on, and then I embossed it with the Ranger Antiquities in the Chinese red. I'm deathly afraid of scorpions. So, a year or two back, I made some pendants that were supposed to look like a scorpion encased in amber. And so I sculpted a scorpion, and then I made a mold of it because I didn't ever want to sculpt one again. So now when I need one, I just use the mold and I make one. It doesn't creep me out near as much. This is the clay, this is the clock mold that I have. It is clay, obviously the whole theme here is clay. This was a compass watch. It was a watch. The bezel looked like a compass. It didn't have any function, but that my son got when he was like 12 for his birthday. And the watch itself went out like 3 days later. I had to take it back and exchange it, but he finally quit wearing it when the crystal cracked. So I went ahead and kept it. And I made a mold of it a couple of years ago, and I've used it many, many times. So what I did here was I overfilled the mold so that when I flipped it over on my baking tile and squished it down, I'd have some squeeze out. And I took a little tiny, tiny little stamp that I have that has gears, and I went around the whole thing with that gear stamp. And on the inside it's got, and I believe I got these from Lydia, but it may have been Stephanie, because I got some from each. They're those images that you cut out and they go in a bottle cap. That's what's in there. And then I put clear embossing powder and just sprinkled a little of the gold on top of there. It's a heart. I don't know if you can tell that or not. Okay, and then same thing from another little mold. I've got this little sun, and all of these pieces have been painted black first before anything else was done to them. Like this one was painted with copper and antiqued with black, and then antiqued with some of that pickling gel that I've got. And I believe that's a Delta paint. I can't swear to it, but I used to keep all of my metallic paints that I used often right up here in front of my little drawers here. But every time I wanted to get into the drawer, I had to move the paint. So I decided to move the paint, and these were junk drawers. They just had catch-all stuff in them. So my top one still has the same thing. It's got my glue sticks, super glue, eyeglasses, screwdriver, stuff like that. Important stuff. And then the other two have my embossing powders. I'm so pleased with that. But now I have to find somewhere else to put my paint. And no matter where I put them, that's going to be inconvenient. So I don't know which I get to more. I know I get to the paint more, but where my paint is right behind me is easier to get to than where I had the embossing powders. So, okay, back to where I was. This has the Ranger the gilded gold embossing powder on it, and I like it because I like the bumpy texture it has. Back there in the background is another one that has that same color on it, and it's actually a yin and a yin-yang button, coin, sorry. You can't hardly tell, it's got two fish as the symbol, and so I've done it with the same embossing powder. A little bling that I got from Steffi, Little Red Wagon Studio. I got a little bottle of those in all kinds of browns, and they're just gorgeous. I use them too often. Another clay piece. This one just has a rub of the antique gold folk art paint over the black, and some verdigris embossing powder, Ranger embossing powder on the inside. Now I'm going to skip over the middle part a bit. This piece, which counterbalances the big clock on the other side so that it'll hang right. This is from the mold I made from that washer that my husband brought home out of his parking lot at his work. And that piece is awesome. I love it. And this has the, I believe the antique silver folk art rubbed on it, and then a little bit of the Inca gold in the old silver. Same thing with the nail, except for instead of the silver paint, it's got the gunmetal folk art paint, then with the rub of the old silver. I'll talk to you with my finger. This was a mold from a broken earring, just a hollow-backed brass cheap little earring, and the back was bent and the stone was missing. So this stone is actually from a different piece. The stone is a mold from a different piece of jewelry. Sorry. It just happened to be the same size. So I've got one of those in the stone right there, in the setting right there, and then I've got one in the background right back here. With those same little, out of the mold. This is a piece I did quite a long time ago, and it's supposed to look like a tiger eye. I love that piece. I did two of these, and the other one is, you don't want to pin it. Okay, so now I'll go down and show you each one of these are just a tile of polymer clay, and they're just glued to a piece of black cardstock. The jump rings, I've just cut a strip of the paper, the cardstock, and fed that jump ring on there, folded the strip in half and glued it, and then glued it down. These pieces are so light, it might as well just be chipboard. Then they're hanging with some polymer clay hearts I made. And they, again, just painted black and rubbed with some silver paint. I didn't even put a finish on. There's no glaze on them or anything. It's just going to hang on my wall. So These, on the other hand, do have a glaze. The silver paint they're painted with isn't quite as bright as this silver, so they needed that little shine. The brads are, again, the the little brass school brads, as I call them. They're just the cheapy. You can get them at the dollar store. And again, I've embossed them in the Lindy Stamp Gang, the Queen Sheba Silver. So there's that. Spells out Journey. So it's Believe in the Journey. The is done exactly the same as the other two, just painted black with the letters stuck on. And then I embossed it with the, I forget what it's called every time. It's the Judicans, and it's the Rustic Patina Bronze. I just want to call it Rustic Bronze for some reason. So it's that, and then I sprinkled a little bit of the Ranger Verdigris over it while it was still hot. The Believe itself is a wood piece that I also got from Steffi, Little Red Wagon Studio, and it has, after I painted it black, it has the Ranger antique gold, the tarnished gold, and then a tiny sprinkling of the Princess Gold. That's where the brighter, that Princess Gold is probably the brightest gold, a bright, shiny gold, and the name of it's perfect. It's what you'd use for a princess. So, and then just with a little bit of the verdigris sprinkled on here and there. Okay. Oh, last but not least, the key. This is one of my polymer clay keys, and it's actually after I painted it black, it's got the Inca gold and the copper rubbed on it, and then embossed just the least little bit with some of that Ranger Verdigris embossing powder. Okay, I'm going to start right here. These are little, it's a mold from a button, and it's actually from a brass button. It was plastic, but a brass coated plastic button. And so I've done 4 of these, 2 on each side. That's probably a better shot. Oh, and I didn't say about the scorpion, I'm sorry. He's painted black and then embossed. I just flipped him over and stuck him down on the Versamark pad again. He's embossed with the Lindy Stamp Gang in the obsidian bronze, I believe is what it's called. Okay, now, in the background, if you can tell, I've got it still covered up. You might not even be able to. There's actually paper back there. If I can get my hands on it. Where did it go? Here it is. And it's from the... I'm not a lot of help. I'm sorry. It's from the Arithmetic by Colorbach. And I used this one, which is also why I did the awning up there green, even though you really can't tell the association very much now. Okay, another one of my art tiles, and it says Magic, just like the one up here did. It was a set that I made, and I used all 3 of them. So, and again, you can see some of that spray, the Buccaneer Bronze that I sprayed back there. There's the little stone I was talking about. The moon is from one of my molds, and it was from a brass keychain. And as you can see, when I made this particular piece, the mold cracked. I had made it too thin on the bottom, and it just cracked. So I've still got the key ring, so I just need to make another one. But hazards of the job. This is just one of those little trim flower pieces that I cut them apart. And there's another one over there. Somewhere in here is another one, but I have yet to find what I did with it. It could be back here behind the face. Another one of those little rose cabochons. And this one actually has copper embossing powder on one side and that gilded gold on the other. This is one of my faces from the Just Face It video. And 2 more of the little blings from the little jar I got from Steffi. This is a polymer clay ring that I made. Sorry, I got a dark corner down there. A big scarab beetle, and again with the Buccaneer bronze on there. I love that look. The stone was pretty enough, but when that hit it, just set it off. This was a mold from a button that it's got some of that Ranger Antiquities, the claret color. I've showed this bead in one of the rolled inclusion videos, this cabochon right here, I'm sorry, and it's just in a clay frame that's from a mold of another broken piece of jewelry. And it actually has that Princess Gold embossing powder on the frame. This is a piece that I did several of, and this is the only one I have left. Another just broken piece of jewelry bezel that I made a mold out of. And the middle has that Lisa Pavelkin's Magic Gloss mixed with glitter. You know, it's her UV resin. So I really like the way that piece turned out. On the Believe here, I forgot about put a little bling on the top of the eye. And again, there's that yin and yang coin, another piece of the bling, and then no way I can show that art tile that's in the corner, I don't guess. But did I show everything? I hope I did. And y'all say a little thought of kindness that this will come off my movie maker so that I can upload it to YouTube, because that's what happened last time. So, alright, everybody, welcome to 2014, and believe in the journey. That's my phrase for the year. That's my motto for the year. Believe in the journey, not the destination. Alright, holler at y'all later. Bye now.